So, welcome back to the Operator's Table. I'm Cris Morgado, and this is the show where we talk to real operators about what is actually working and what it takes to build and run a physical business. Today, I'm with Jason Greenwood, co-owner and head distiller at Divine Distilleries in Oregon. In just a few years, Jason has taken Divine from nothing to producing over 10,000 proof gallons a year, racking up an impressive 27 international spirit awards, and building not just a distillery, but an ecosystem: spirits, wine, cider, soda, beer, and also food, and a full on-site experience. The brand is personal and myth-driven. His son is Dante. His daughter is Angie, short for Angelica. The whole identity pulls from Dante's Divine Comedy, Descent, Struggle, and Redemption. And he actually designed the bottles with CAD, all self-taught. So it has 9 physical tiers for the 9 levels of hell. So you literally hold story in a bottle. So without any further ado, here is Jason. Jason, welcome. Where are you calling from today?
Hi, Cris. I am in Salem, Oregon. Our distillery is in Independence, Oregon.
Fantastic.
And we're a little closer to 50 international medals right now.
Wow, 50. That's amazing.
Yeah, I think
Congratulations.
we've got 47 is what we've got.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. So today, arc of the podcast, we'll start with your origin story, a little bit where you went from global SAP enterprise ops to spirits, what's working right now inside Divine, where the friction points are, if it's capacity, distribution, people, where you want to be in 6 to 12 months. And then we're just finishing up with a quick lightning round. Usually it will take around 35, 60 minutes max. So I'll start with the founder story, because I think as people come to see these podcasts, they want to break into sometimes entrepreneurship. So they're very keen to know what makes someone going from one stage of their life to then becoming an entrepreneur. So before Divine, you were running global technical teams, architecture, strategy for server operations across 20 countries and 25,000 users. And you also speak an impressive 5 languages.
Yes.
So when did it flip for you from going from that world into basically making your own spirits?
Well, this is kind of funny, but if you think about most people who work in the IT, they just want to drink. And it was never my case. I have always stayed away from spirits because they always burnt as they went down. It's a story of evolution. My wife and I have always been beer drinkers, and we've loved beer all our lives and traveled all over Europe, lived all over Europe, drank fantastic beer, traveled all over Asia. And in our neighborhood, we got together with a couple of our neighbors and started a kegerator. So we had 7 beers on tap in our neighborhood for the neighborhood families. And at one point I felt bad for my kids and the neighborhood kids because the adults were all drinking beer, but the kids had nothing to drink. So we started making sodas for them. And at one point, my daughter, who I think was 12 at the time, no, actually, I think she was 10, asked if we could do ginger ale. And I thought about it, and instead of buying syrup, I said, well, I'm going to make my own ginger ale because they make it all over the Caribbean. And when that happened, one of the instructions was if you add yeast to the sweet substance, and if you leave it too long, it becomes alcoholic, and that's not what you want. At which point I looked at my wife and I said, maybe that is what I want. So we made our ginger beer for our daughter, but then we also took the same process and started making our own cider and started making our own beer and started making our own wine. And we learned that we enjoyed our products better because we knew what we wanted to go in them, but none of that was a passion. But about November of 2017, my wife said, well, how much harder is it to make rum? At which point I looked that up and we tried it. And within the very first drops, I fell absolutely head over heels with the process. I was still working. I was working in IT at a large energy company out east. We were just going to do this as a side project. And when my contract finished with them, we decided, well, why don't we just take a couple of months and make this business start? We started it, and within the first 6 months, we had gotten our first awards. We had sold out of all our product. We had sold out of everything we have that we had produced to that point, and we said, well, let's make it a little bigger. So we started making it a little bigger, and we made it a little bigger. And then, before we knew it, we were 2 years in, and this is 2019, early 20, and we thought, well, let's buy a bigger building and move into it. Well, then COVID came, so our production of product that's drinkable stopped, but everyone wanted sanitizer, and we knew how to make it. So we grew a whole lot so that we could provide sanitizer for people. And we were the sole sanitizer provider for the National Firefighter Association wildfires, not firefighters for homes, but wildfires. Sanitizer for the entire judicial system of the state of Oregon, for a dozen police departments, and we were just producing sanitizer for all of these different places because it was just the right thing to do. So our production more than tenfold. So we were really producing a lot of product, and then sanitizer was no longer needed. So now we had all this equipment that we had financed and purchased, and we were much bigger than we needed. And by 2022, we had moved to a different building, and we were now in our what is current location. And we were just trying to make ends meet. We started our own restaurant because in the state of Oregon, if you have liquor and you want people to taste your liquor, you've got to have a restaurant. You can't sell large quantities to people unless you have a restaurant. So we started our own restaurant. Over time, we started our own cider. We started our own winery. We've started our own soda, non-alcoholic drink line. So now what I tell people is that we make everything from sodas all the way to alcohol. We basically make everything a human being drinks except milk.
Yeah, I did catch that in one of your podcasts. I was gonna weave that into the podcast. You already preempted it. That's an amazing story. So I'm actually quite curious. So from humble beginnings, and then in 6 months you were getting awards. How did you manage distribution, marketing? How did you kind of penetrate the market so fast for a newcomer?
That is a very big challenge. We are still struggling with distribution. We are still struggling with penetrating the market. Is very simple. Very simply, we are not succeeding in that because their big guys have it cornered. There is no help for the little distiller unless you have star power like Aviation Gin got Ryan Reynolds, and George Clooney bought his tequila brand. Those people have money to throw at the project, and we don't. So it's very much bootstrapping. It's very much putting things together. We do a lot of markets in the state of Oregon. We have been lucky in getting into Chicago and the Chicago area. Filipino community, one of our products is Pandan rum, and it sells really well in the Asian community. And it's a struggle. It's a struggle every day. In fact, I would say that financing and it's one of the things you asked. Financing and distribution has been the biggest challenge to us, and it continues to be the biggest challenge.
So you mainly bootstrapped?
Yeah. So we did almost everything from scratch. My wife and I financed everything. We got some help from our bank, but our bank is currently taking away that help since my wife passed. So we're still struggling.
Good to hear that. So in terms of the marketing, what's been working for you? What's like your main channels, or what's really kind of bringing the revenue in?
So our main channel is online marketing on social media, and we've done a couple of television spots that have worked really, really well. We've got a really great guy who does amazing commercials. That's what he does. And he's created a couple of really amazing commercials that have brought people to our restaurant. And we've done a lot of really good commercials with direct targeting markets under Facebook and Instagram.
You mean in terms of actually kind of video commercials? Okay. Do you have someone in the team working on your marketing and distributing the content?
We have a couple of people who do a little bit of it, who are not great at it, but are doing it.
Right, right. So do you have like a content machine that can semi-automate the process, or it's all like human based?
We don't have that yet. It's all human based.
Right, right. Okay. I'm gonna bring back a little bit to the personal, which I guess for you has been a change from IT to entrepreneurship and awards and different tastes. So is there a particular business motto that drives you? Is there like a particular quote that is the foundation of what you stand for? Or is it just your own personal philosophy?
Well, so it was a thing that brought my family together. We all believe in the product. We all believe in what we can do. Our medals keep proving that to us, and it really was a family affair. My son is our head blender right now. He is our bottler and packer. My wife was the person who created most of our flavor profiles. I did most of the distillation. We have a very small team of employees in the distillation area. We actually have more people working for us in the restaurant than we do in the production.
Right. How many people do you have working for you in total?
12, and four of them are in the distillation. That includes my son and my son and myself.
Got it, got it, got it. So you've said you make basically everything a human can drink except milk.
Yes. Yeah.
What spirits, brandy, rum, agave
Yep.
star spirits, amaro, cider, beer, soda. So I'd like to have your take on a few things. The first thing is when it comes to local sourcing and terroir, does grown here, fermented here, bottled here actually move product right now, or is it mostly like tour storytelling, a gimmick?
I will say that there's a couple there's this is a strange answer, or maybe not so strange, knowing what the kind of world we're in. But to some people, it really matters. Terroir really matters. Being local really matters. But to almost everybody, it's pocketbook first. So even though we purchase our apples to make our apple brandy from our neighbor, more people, and our apple brandy is substantially better than some of the others. People will look and taste it and still go out and buy a $5 cheaper bottle somewhere else.
So basically, you're saying they're price sensitive. They rather go
It's
for
a
price than quality.
I think the world right now is extremely price sensitive. Everybody is feeling the pinch. Everybody's feeling the pinch of the tariffs. Everybody's feeling the pinch of job loss and not being able to find jobs that pay well. And it's showing through. I'm not gonna wade in too heavily on politics, but I think the only thing that's helping me on the tariffs is that we already had all our products here. We have everything that we've bought from onshore is already in the U.S., so we haven't had the pinch of tariffs on our end, and everything that we source is sourced locally in Salem or within 26 miles. So every single product that we make is sourced within about 26 miles of us, except for our agave.
Right, right. Because that's basically quite a local business you've got there, which is I
Yes.
guess, provenance, which is good. That's awesome. Now, when it comes to destination versus shelf, the vine is not just bottles, as we mentioned. So you built a place as well that people can go taste and eat, and you got fire cooking, live events. Do you think being in a physical destination is not mandatory for an independent spirits brand, or you
Yes.
wouldn't have done that if it wasn't a legal issue, if that
I,
makes sense?
I, I would not have done it if it wasn't a legal issue, uh, because I would have probably spent a lot less on making a beautiful location that people could go to. I would probably still be in our original building, where we were renting, and I would just be producing product, trying to sell it. I'd also probably not be anywhere near as big as we are, because part of why we grew was because we had the space to grow into.
Mhm.
So it's a mixed blessing, but I will say that having a location that we've created and cultured and turned into a destination location. I mean, people come to us from out of state because they know about our food, they know about our products, and once they read about the live fire cooking and our chef roasting an alligator, come from out of state to come and watch the spectacle and drink good food and drink good beer. and have lively entertainment because our venue is definitely a destination.
I actually had an interview recently with Ralph from Necromantic Brew Company in Long Island, and he has also like a horror themed venue. And I asked the same question, and I think you both are in agreement that now there is more than just a drink and a brand. There is a community around it. And if you can create a space where that community can come together, that actually gives more impetus to the brand and to allow it to grow.
Yes.
So when it comes to regulation and distribution, what's the single biggest structural barrier keeping a craft distillery from scaling past its local area?
I think it is the three-tier system that we currently have in the United States. It is onerous for us to get into liquor stores. It is onerous for us to get into bars. I think that is true for every small craft distillery. I'm going to give an example of how difficult this is. If we're a small distillery, we can't get into the large distributors. The large distributors are just not interested in us. I have a very good friend of mine who's at Southern Wine and Spirits, and he basically looks at me and says, "You don't produce enough for us to be interested. If I brought you in, you would get chewed up, spit out, and we would not work, and you would probably be very upset with us." And so, the large distributors are not interested. The small distributors, I can convince a small distributor, but they're very, very small. Most of them only have one market, and they can't get into liquor stores. So they go into a liquor store, and the liquor store says, "Oh, I don't want to sign in a new distributor. I've already got my 6." So, it's not about our product not being good. It's about, or even the distributor being good. It's just they don't want another one. It's hard for us to get into restaurants because the restaurant doesn't want to sign new paperwork to get a new product. They don't want to have to go to yet somebody else's portal to order. They want to go into Southern's portal or Romano Brothers portal and just order what they need. That's the barrier to entry. People can love our product, but don't want the extra work to bring it in.
So how do you crack that problem of scalability so that you can grow?
If you figure that out, I would love to have the answer. It is a nut that we have been trying to crack for 4 years now. We have had small distributors all over take us on. We have currently a small distributor in Chicago who is moving our product, but it's slow. We have a small distributor in Florida that has moved our product, but it's slow. We have a small distributor in New York that is moving our product, but it is slow.
Yeah. Okay.
Luckily, we're in a position where a lot of what we produce is being moved into aging barrels. So we're aging product, and yes, we produce a hell of a lot of product, but it's going in to be aged. So it's sitting there aging over the next several years before it's ready to sell.
147 international awards. You are 10,000 proof gallons a year. Is that right? You've got spirits, cider, soda, beer. We've been through this before. Food, fire experience. Which of those is actually driving growth for you today? Not the coolest, but the one that is actually shows up in revenue.
The one that brings us the most revenue right now is our Pandan rum. It is a bright green rum. It's a flavored rum, and it's the one it's a Filipino flavor. It is very, very, very versatile for making cocktails, and it's been our best seller for a while. If we can produce the apple brandy enough, our apple brandy makes more money. If we can produce our agave enough, our agave makes more money. But none of these things that we produce do we get to keep on the shelf. So we've never been able to keep apple brandy on the shelf. It is constantly out. Our agave is constantly out. And then we have a seasonal drink, which outperforms everything from November through January.
What is that?
It's called Coquito. It is a Puerto Rican eggnog.
Okay. Because I guess it's the season.
Yeah, it's a season. It's a very season specific drink. In Puerto Rico, they have Coquito. In the U.S., we have eggnog. In Mexico, they have rompope. And my personal opinion is that Coquito is the best. flavor of all of those.
Yeah, you like that the best.
Well, it's got coconut, which I love, and it's got the spices, but it doesn't have any of the sickly sweet flavors from the egg, and it doesn't from eggnog. And rompope also is sickly sweet, and coquito is just more creamy.
Nice, nice, nice. So 47 medals, are they mainly social proof or do they move the stock for you?
They help move the stock. They do help move the stock. It also really helps when people see that these metals come throughout our line. So it's not just one product that has gotten all the medals. We have 14 products that have gotten multiple medals. And we've gotten all the way up to best in class and double gold medals in San Francisco with our gin. And we've gotten tons of other gold medals. I mean, it proves that we're not just a one-shot pony. It proves that we can produce product repeatedly and good product repeatedly.
That's cool. Now, I guess that's what's going well, the medals and winning. That's always something to celebrate. But in terms of bottlenecks and challenges, what's now being a constraint for you that you wish you could overcome?
Our biggest challenge is our debt to our bank.
Right, right. So that is causing like,
It causes huge strife. It stops us from producing more because we have to do all these other things to make them happy. We are not successful in making them happy. I think financing of this business, first of all, financing of almost any business is not a great motivator. And if you can bootstrap everything, then do it, because owing people is onerous. But real estate was not something that we could do without financing. And that's what we ended up doing, was purchasing real estate and getting into very big debt because of the real estate that we purchased.
so are you then saying that in terms of turnover and meeting your debt obligation is becoming a bit of a struggle? Are you going more one direction that you should?
Yep.
Even that you have such a great product, but it's being difficult to create a turnover that then kind of support that debt, I suppose.
We can't support all the debt. We're trying to figure out other ways to get through the debt. We've done a lot of personal finance of paying up the debt, but it is a struggle. I think it is a struggle, and you can see, and a lot of us took on a lot of debt over COVID, and you are still seeing businesses shutting down because of the debt they took on in COVID. And I think that's a very important thing for people to know, is that yes, COVID was 5 years ago, but restaurants, distilleries, breweries, wineries took on huge amounts of debt just to survive through COVID. And I don't know anyone who has fully paid off their debts from COVID.
Yeah, that impacted the leisure industry and the food and beverage really badly. And like
Yeah,
you say,
and it still is. And it
yeah,
still very much is.
yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one because you've got such a great product. You just need, I suppose, a way to make sure that it meets the consumer so that you get the returns you deserve. So when it comes to metrics and goals, is there any particular number that you personally watch every single week?
I watch how much we make every week. I watch how much money comes in every week versus how much goes out. And yes, we do make money week over week, but it is tough. There's a tough sell every week. And if we go through where we are and where the industry is going, it's very hard for all the food and beverage industry to survive. Yeah, unless you have a super well established brand, Jack Daniels or Smirnoff or something, where it doesn't cost you, the cost of producing more is negligible, where you don't have to do as much advertising because people come in and buy you off the shelf. And I'm not saying that they don't struggle too. They do. There's, if I look at the trends worldwide, liquor sales have gone down over the last 7 years. We had that bump in 2020 during COVID, but that bump was almost exclusively to the well-known and less expensive brands. So they got a bump, which was great for them, and I fully support their industry. But it was really, really difficult for those who weren't on the low end, and it was even more difficult for those on the low end who didn't have brand recognition already.
That's tough. Without branding, even if you have the best product in the world, and if you don't have a channel to communicate that, it's very tough, very tough. So, in terms of goals, looking at the future, of course, revenue will be the top priority. But is that a particular headline you like to chase? Something like, for example, we had the most visit night out spot in the valley, or we've got real distribution in new regions, average spend per guest has gone up. Which one of these headlines would you like to capture?
I think real distribution in 10 to 12 markets would be life changing for us. Real distribution where we're shipping a pallet a month to a market, that would be life changing to us, because our each individual product that we make is not that expensive. We don't sell on the high end. We're mostly on the low end. Each one of us, each one of our products is well undervalued market wise, and we can sustain that, and we're trying to sell that. But having distribution, being able to sell to large markets, being able to go through multiple pallets a month, that's the goal. When we're shipping 3 to 6 pallets a month, we don't ever have to worry about anything again.
Well, I hope that someone listening to this podcast, particularly because I'm going to be targeting food and beverage influencers, hopefully they can get in touch with you, because at Divine Distillery, you've got a great product, and hopefully they can just unhinge that little constraint for you, because that will be amazing. Because it seems that the only thing that's really stopping you is a well-established distribution channel, because you've got the
Pretty much.
product, you've got the quality, you've got the staff. It's just a question of now making sure that people see your product and taste it and drink it and consume it. Hopefully, we'll reach the right person.
I would love that, because it really is. We're in our building. We're supporting 7 other small distilleries in our building. We've got a great, fantastic product. Definitely multiple of our products are award winning. We ship out pallets that are not one product. We ship out pallets that are 5 or 6 products at a time, and just so that we can get the reach. And having someone have faith in our product because they taste it and they realize how good it is, and help us start moving the product into larger areas, that would be for us.
We'll see what happens. I guess you mentioned that you buy your apples from your neighbor, and I assume you import agave from Mexico.
Agave is the only thing that we import, and we import that from Mexico.
Yeah.
And what we
So,
do is we import a wild agave. It's agave silvestre, and it comes in from wild grown agaves that are natural to the ecosystem of where they're harvested, and it's sustainably harvested. They only harvest it every 2 years, and what's really wonderful about the agave that we produce is it's got so much more flavor than blue agave.
okay, that's good to know. So the question I'm trying to elicit is partnerships. So for you, in terms of partners, I guess they're all important, but if you had to say this particular type of partner for me is more important, will it be like the orchards and farms, the retailers, bottle shops, bars, restaurants, tourism boards, live event
The
promoters?
I think the most important partners that we have are our local farmers, wineries, and breweries, where we get most of our products from. Yes, it would be nice to have partners with the local restaurants and the local, and that's essential for us. But currently, and probably forever, the most important partnership is the local wineries that have us distill their wine, the local breweries that have us distill their beer, and the local farmers that have us ferment and distill their products.
Right. It seems that on the supply side, you've got the right partnerships. It seems that you need to go through new relationships in terms of distribution channels that are probably less conventional, like
Yep.
party promoters, events, weddings. I don't know. There must be some other way to look at ways to distribute product that probably has to move away from traditional routes to start with until you get more brand awareness. But there's something to
Yes.
think about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, you mentioned earlier that you've got someone who is doing videos and commercials, and is that, I suppose, your best channel? But I just want to touch again on the terms of marketing. What other things are you actually doing to get the customers to the door and try your bottles and so forth?
So we have boots on the ground in Chicago. We have a person that we pay to go to the different restaurants and sell to the restaurants and get them to purchase our product. And we have boots on the ground in the greater Los Angeles area that does the same. And then we tried to get boots on the ground in Florida, but there's no real easy outside Miami. There's not really a large scale group that you can hit with one pair of boots. So Florida is kind of organic growth, and New York and New Jersey will be great to have a boot on the ground, but that's going to be coming in 26.
Right, right. So you're doing more like direct sales almost rather than other types of marketing and
Yeah,
content.
well, we need people to taste the product. We need people to realize that we are good enough to bring in
Yeah.
when the market is so saturated with so many products.
Yes,
I'll
yes.
give a really perfect example is our coffee rum. Everyone is used to Kahlua. Everyone thinks, Kahlua is the gold standard, and we're not Kahlua. And our coffee product is not sweet, and it is not a liqueur. It is a liquor. So we make rum, and we then make coffee with our rum. Instead of brewing coffee with water, we brew coffee with rum. And all it is espresso and rum.
So maybe it's more of a richer flavor.
So
I
it's a
suppose.
more rich flavor. It's also very good for making cocktails because it doesn't come with its own sweetness. So the bartender can add the sweetness that they want. And it also has the same effect of having all the caffeine that a drink of that size would have. So if you do yourself a shot of coffee rum, you're getting the same as if you were doing a shot of espresso. You're also getting the same as if you were doing a shot of rum because it's 40% alcohol, and it's 100% as a regular as an espresso coffee would be.
That's what we'll call a double whammy, right?
Yes. So it's like when I was much younger and I would drink Red Bull and vodka, so that I would get some alcohol, but I was getting woken up as well.
Yeah, with the caffeine. That's cool. So this is coming to the end of our podcast because I'm conscious of time as well. And I like to ask this question, which is the magic wand question. So if you had the magic wand and you could wish for anything in terms of a process that you can automate or more distribution, I think I know the answer already, but I might be wrong. Anything that you could change about Divine Distilleries, what would you ask for?
If I had a magic wand, there's two things I would change. One of them is distribution, but I think I have a handle on some of growth of that. So if I only had one thing to change, it would be magically pay off all our debts so that we can do this at the speed that we can and be able to go forward. Not having that, it's just a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And I think at some point we will get through this and we will be able to be profitable and see how we, like ridiculously profitable. If we can get through the next 2 years, we have all that product that we have sitting there aging, and our distribution channels, if we have them by then, which, it's slow growth, if we have the distribution channels and we can start selling our aged product that we created, we can start selling that and really making a huge profit. We have
Wish the well.
somewhere in the neighborhood of $9 to $10 million worth of product just sitting in casks.
Wow, wow, wow. Well, I wish you well. Let's see what happens. If I come across, because I'm reaching out to different individuals within the food and beverage, if I come across a distributor, you'll be top of mind for sure.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So I'd like to end the podcast with a few quick lightning round questions. So I guess, what is the biggest lesson you can share with someone from scaling from a micro batch to 10,000 proof gallons whilst also running a destination experience?
Hold on to your hats. Make sure that you're capable of dealing with this and with the repercussions, which means that you're going to have a lot to deal with all at once, and it is not easy. There's 3 of us in our family, and the 3 of us were working 18-hour days at times. It's a lot of work, and now without my wife, it's going to be even more work.
Honestly, I had an interview earlier today with someone called Desmond. He played for the Chicago Bulls, and he's got his own logistics company. And he's also a personal coach, like a life coach, and he's a public speaker. And we had a chat, and he said that in life, tribulation is inevitable, and there are ups and downs, and sometimes fortitude is made through struggle. And if you hold in there, the light will shine. It seems sometimes overwhelming and everything is happening at once, but there is always a light at the end of the tunnel, and particularly for those with faith. If you believe, it will come. So just hold there, hold tight. It will
Yeah,
get better.
we are trying. We are trying. An
Yeah, it's not
investor
it.
would be great.
Yeah, I understand. Now, another question that I like to ask is there a particular book or podcast do you like to recommend to our listeners of yours?
Well, I mean, it's kind of obvious for us. Dante's Divine Comedy,
Yes.
and it's a hard read, but there's several adaptations to it. But the stories that we've learned, how the world works, and if you listen to it with how he made fun of the current political and the current issues of the day, and how he poked fun at all of the stuff that was happening, and knowing that this has all happened before, all of that can be read just from reading that the Dante's Divine Comedy. And I know that that's kind of cliche, considering that that's where we came from and that's how we all got started and that's how our son got named. But that's probably, as far as books go, that would be the book to read. But read
Well,
it in context of its time.
sure, sure. But I guess there will be a lot of parallels to what's happening today, I suppose.
There are a lot of parallels. I mean, one of the things that he got slammed for was making fun of the Catholic Church, because he put several popes in hell, and he did a lot of things to the local magistrates in his books that just showed
Blasphemy.
how. So even though it's almost 1,000 years old, that book is very apropos to what's happening today.
Interesting. And the last question I normally ask, because it fascinates me, because every entrepreneur I interview, they've got a story, but like everyone, they've got the ups and downs. And I guess it reflects my own life analogy that life is like a roller coaster. You have to enjoy the ride, but there will be lots of ups and downs, and you just have to go with it. So for you, after all these years and what you've been going through, what's the drive? What keeps you passionate?
Very difficult question to ask me 3 months after my wife died. Right now, the drive and the passion is for my children. My kids are my reason to keep going forward.
And keep going on. It's worth it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for pulling up a chair at the operator's table. So
Thank you, Chris, for having me.
for everyone listening and watching, follow us whatever you listen our podcasts and share it with someone who loves hearing real stories from real operators. Today's guest was Jason Greenwood from Divine Distillers. I'm Cris Morgado. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you at the next table.